That name rings a bell. It rings a bell? What does that mean? I'm Teacher Mike, and I teach adults, like you, real English that they can use in their daily lives. Today we are learning about 13 common expressions that you can use to talk about memory and ideas. First, we have come to mind, which basically means that an idea or an image enters your mind. For example, if someone asks you to recommend a good English teacher, you could say, well, the first one that comes to mind is Teacher Mike, but I also like Bob the Canadian. Or if you are trying to think of something, but you can't, you might say, nothing comes to mind right now. And this doesn't always mean that you don't know something, it just means that you can't think of it right now. Then we have off the top of my head, which basically means without thinking about it a lot. For example, if a student asks me a question and I'm not 100% sure about the answer, I might say, off the top of my head, I think that's correct, but I'll check for you after class. Or if a customer asks for very specific information about a product, you could say, I can't tell you that off the top of my head, but I would be happy to check for you. And before we go to the next one, if you are finding this video useful, please don't forget to give it a like. Doing this both really helps my page and helps other English learners because it tells them that this is a video that they should watch. Okay, next one. To come up with something means to create or think of an idea, plan, or story. For example, sometimes it's difficult to come up with new topics for my videos. Or the team came up with a creative way to solve the problem. And when people work together to try to come up with lots of different ideas, that is called brainstorming. For example, in our meeting this morning, we brainstormed ideas for new products. Or we had a brainstorming session to try to come up with a name for the new restaurant. When brainstorming, you might want to think outside the box. To think outside the box means to be creative with your ideas and maybe try something that hasn't been tried before. For example, you could say, we've tried to fix this using all of the traditional methods, but none of them have worked. We need to start thinking outside the box. If someone is very forgetful and can never remember anything, we can say that they have the mind of a goldfish. For example, you could say, I'm so sorry I forgot. I have the mind of a goldfish. If someone tells you something and you immediately forget it, we say that it went in one ear and out the other. For example, my children never listen to me. Everything that I say just goes in one ear and out the other. Instead of saying that you forgot to do something, you can say that it slipped your mind, especially when it is something that another person expected you to do. For example, I was going to tell you about this earlier, but it slipped my mind. Or, I'm so sorry I forgot to do that. It completely slipped my mind. If you are telling a story or explaining something, and suddenly you forget what you are talking about, or you forget what you wanted to say next, we call that losing your train of thought. So if you're explaining something to someone, and suddenly you forget what you wanted to say, you can say, sorry, I've lost my train of thought. Or, I've lost my train of thought. What was I just saying? If you know the name of something, and you want to say it, but you just can't remember what it's called, we say that it is on the tip of your tongue. Maybe you're trying to tell your friend about a new food that you tried recently, and you know what it's called, but you just can't remember it right now. You could say, I know what it's called. It's on the tip of my tongue. Just give me one moment. If your mind goes blank, this means that you are suddenly unable to think of anything to say. For example, I know a lot of English, but anytime someone asks me a question, my mind goes blank and I'm unable to reply. Or, I had a really good idea, but when it was my turn to speak, my mind went blank. If someone asks you to bear something in mind, this means that they want you to keep it in your mind while you are doing what you are doing. For example, if you are making plans to go out to dinner with your coworkers, you might say, we need to bear in mind that not everyone has a car. That basically means that while we are choosing a location, we need to remember that not everyone has a car. If someone says that a name rings a bell, this means that they feel like they have heard that name before, but they can't quite remember where they heard it or who that person is. So if your friend asks you if you remember Steve Francis, you might say, I don't remember who that is, but the name rings a bell. And when we use this in a question or a negative sentence, we sometimes use ring any bells. So if you want to ask someone if they have heard a name before, you could ask, does this name ring a bell? Or, does this name ring any bells? They mean the same thing. And if you know a place like the back of your hand, this means that you know it very well. For example, my uncle is a taxi driver, so he knows this city like the back of his hand. So yeah, those are some common expressions for talking about memory and ideas. If you found this video helpful, please don't forget to subscribe to my channel and check out some of the other videos in the Common Expressions playlist. That's all for today. Thank you for watching.